Good evening. This is your boy Richard, and you are tuned in live for the interview with Little Richie. Join me every Thursday evening at 7 p.m. live on Instagram at Little Richie underscore ZA. First of all, I'd like to apologize for yesterday. We had some technical difficulties. And this evening, it's a chilly evening in Johannesburg, but we're bringing the heat because we're talking about relationships. There's a conversation that everybody's in about, and everybody is willing to listen and just hear what we are going to talk about. This evening, I have a special guest, but before we get into that, I just want to remind you that last week I gave an introduction of who I am and what we will be talking about for the next few weeks, and I'll be having different guests. I'll be having various entertainers or professionals speak with me, and then we'll continue just to get inspired. And I hope that everyone that tunes in is able to interact and engage with me, like leave your comments, DM me, and with our conversation tonight, we're talking about relationships. So if you have anything that you want to ask, anything that you want to say, please feel free to drop them down in the comment section. So this evening we've got a special guest. Her name is Loreal Burton. I just need to remind you that she is no relationship guru, nor is she an expert in human behavioral studies. But I feel that she is the perfect candidate to have this conversation because she's a good conversationalist, as well as she's good with people and a very close friend of mine, and I really do appreciate her. So, yep, I can go on talking the whole night, but let's get my guest. And I hope everyone is doing well. And I hope everyone is keeping safe. Hi, L'Oreal.
Hey, how's it?
I'm good, thanks, and yourself?
I'm lekker, man.
Good to see you from the internet side of the world.
Likewise. I don't
Yeah.
clear. Can you see me clearly?
Hey, I can see you clearly.
Okay, cool.
Perfect. Looking good this evening.
Thanks, I try.
Thanks for taking your time to join us this evening. I really appreciate it. And tonight we're talking about relationships.
Yay! I'm so glad you actually told people that I'm no relationship guru. It's just...
No, but let's get started. Would you mind telling us more about yourself?
Okay, cool. But before I do that, thanks for having me, Richard. I'm excited to be part of this whole thing and to be your first person that you're interviewing. So,
my first guest. I'm so excited.
One day when you have your own show and late night with Little Richie, at least I'm the first person ever to be interviewed by you. Anyway, so I'm Loreal Burton, 31 years old. I'm originally from Port Elizabeth, Eastern Cape. And I've been in Johannesburg for the past 4 years. I've been married for 3 years. And I think the greatest thing about me is that I'm your friend.
Yes.
Preach.
Thank you so much for telling us who you are. And for, as again, as I said, for this time, I'm definitely going to make sure that this is one of many. And thanks for being my first guest. So I've got this 5 pillars or 5 key things that I use when I get into any sort of relationship, whether it's with friends, whether it's with family, and or just meeting a partner. And these are honesty, respect, trust, communication, and laughter. And for me, those are not criteria, but it's just a ground, like a solid ground or a solid foundation on how I base my interaction or relationship with various people. What are your key pillars or core values that you base your relationships on with friends, family, or anyone else?
Cool. I actually like the 5 that you mentioned. I would actually say one of the very first things is a word that we use so often recently is to be authentic, be yourself, you know. And when you're yourself in that relationship, you give whether it's a friendship or not, you give the next person the freedom to be themselves as well, and then communication. But with communication, it doesn't stop there. It comes with understanding and comprehension, you know. And then also, for me, one of my greatest things is showing up when you need to. So yeah, so I would say authenticity, trust, communication, and just showing up when you need to, being there with that person through the good, the bad, and the ugly. So that once you step into a relationship, you need to make sure that you will be willing to be there for that person. Yeah.
Yeah, I like the point you bring across about showing up. You know, sometimes we all want to do a lot of things and we all want to say the right things, but I think being present and showing up actually makes a world of a difference. So we all get excited to be in a relationship, you know. I want to know, what is those things that you feel that we neglect before we get into a relationship? And what should we enjoy about being single before we get tied down or get into entanglement? What is the thing that we should be enjoying as a single person, as well as what do we neglect about being single or enjoying or doing before getting into a relationship?
I think when you're single, you're allowed to be selfish, you know, in terms of thinking for yourself, without having the consideration of the next person. So when you're single, you're able to build and make selfish, not in a bad way, selfish decisions to empower yourself without having to consider somebody else, how it will either inconvenience that person, how is it going to affect the next person. So I always advise young people, because I work a lot with youth. It's not because I'm not happily married, I am, but I would always say that try to be single, stay single as far as possible, you know, enjoy yourself, build up savings, you know, because once you get married, the game changes. And we don't have kids yet, and I always hear my friends say, once you have kids, then the game changes even more. So yeah. And then I think I speak from myself, like sometimes we neglect understanding the next person in a relationship is an individual with his own personality, characteristics, values, interests. And we always tend to focus on the things we have in common because that's what makes it exciting, you know. But we fail to neglect the differences that we have. So, yeah, so I would say before stepping into a relationship is appreciate the differences as well, you know. So because we are all we both like this, we both like hiking, we both like sushi, and we don't appreciate the differences. And once you get married, the differences are so in your face, and I've never seen that, but it's always been there, you know. So yeah, that's what I would say.
Yeah. As a single person myself, I have come to a point where I was like, let me enjoy this time. Let me enjoy this period of being on my own. You know, I've been able to accomplish things, and you learn about yourself. You do particular things like traveling, or you engage in groups where so many people in relationships, but then you learn stuff about yourself in those settings where you are alone. So I agree with you as well about the aspect of selfishness, you know, in a sense where it's about you and it's your time and it's your freedom, it's your space to just be yourself, allow yourself to grow, and yeah, I'm all on that. So I'm Christian, and I know, like, for me, my faith and my Christianity has shaped me in terms of my ideology about the type of relationship I want. Now, I'm not in a relationship, so I can't speak more into it, but I want to know, how important is a good spiritual life for a healthy relationship?
I would say a solid foundation or a good spiritual life. One thing for sure, there's always this thing of divine connection. So if you have a strong, set spiritual life relationship with God, you will divinely connect you with people that you need in your life, you know. And when you have a good, deep sense of spirituality, you know the concept of unconditional love. So you're able to give that. And forgiveness, you know. So your relationship with God is really important. And because of that aspect, you know that you tend to understand forgiveness because you are forgiven. And you tend to understand unconditional love. So you're able to love without expectations, without unrealistic expectations. So yeah, I do feel that for my prayer, even now during as I now moved to Johannesburg, my prayer was, Lord, please divinely connect me to people that will help me grow, you know, and people that will draw me closer to you and that will also speak into my life in a good way. And God definitely did divinely connect me to people. So it is important when it comes to this.
Yeah. I just want to remind everybody that we're talking about relationships. If anybody has any comments, you can drop it down in the comment section. So we always hear that we need to choose our friends wisely. But does having friends that lack ambitions or always parties or things that is considered as bad habits really impact our personal and professional growth?
You know, good friends are very important for your mental health, yeah? And who you surround yourself with. And especially in today's day and age, we see all this mental health things going on. So who you surround yourself is really important and vital to your mental health, your emotional health, your spiritual health, financially, all of that, you know. And I do feel we all need a little bit of everything. I need a friend that would be crazy and that I can let my hair down with. You know, I need a friend that I can call up and say, hey, die man maak my nou weer naar. You know,
yes.
You need a little bit of everything. And I don't feel that if you get to a point of maturity, whether you surround yourself with what kind of people, ultimately you need to make the choice, you know. And for every season you're in, like for the season that I'm in now, I can only speak for myself, saying that like I told you, I'm not a relationship guru. The season where we are in now, a young married couple. So we try to surround ourselves with young married couples, you know, that can speak into our lives, that we can learn from. So I think every season in your life, there's a specific group of people that you need in your life. And yeah, so people say, but I do realize the older people usually say, and I think my mother also used to say, show me your friends and I'll tell you who you are. And there's truth in that. There's truth in that because people identify you by who you hang out with. So in that respect, you know, I would say you need to choose wisely. But other than that, ultimately the choice lies with you. I know people that's friends with party animals, but they're the greatest and the most ambitious people in the world, you know? So there's always a fine line to these kind of things. It's always about choice. I choice at the end of the day.
Yeah, I think as growing up, like we tend to overthink these things, and we're like, okay, so the world and our parents and has told us that to be successful, you need to be in that group and you need to ignore that group. And which, as you say, there is truth in certain things. I mean, if you want to be part of a successful elite type of group, then you need to associate yourself with that. But that doesn't mean that you start neglecting or forgetting the other friends along the way. Because, as you say, there's a season for the people that's in your life at that time. And ultimately, your goals or your ambitions will impact your future. Like, you need to know where you stand and what you stand for, you know?
True.
Are you still with me?
I am.
Yeah, cool. Sorry, I just started seeing your screen is like fading a bit. What is important for you when it comes to maintaining and sustaining a friendship?
You mentioned it earlier, and I also mentioned it earlier, communication. Now, I suck at staying in contact with people, but when I say about communication, it speaks more about some people communicate all the time, but there's still sense of miscommunication. So to maintain friendship, it's about comprehension, knowing that person. Many people say, treat others the way you want to be treated. I would rather say, treat others the way they want to be treated. You actually pick up the vibe of somebody, of your friend. I'm somebody that wants to be left alone at times, but now my friend is somebody that maybe just wants to be active and have each other, like we need to be in each other's faces all the time. So she's expecting that from me. So she becomes that person, which I don't necessarily want, So comprehension, understanding the next person's personality is very important, and treating that friendship in that way, So I would say communication, but more in terms of understanding and comprehension. And then obviously just showing up once again. Life is busy, as you grow older, life is busy. We can't be in touch every weekend. We can't tell every weekend, but being there when that person needs you, that's the important part. And that's what I expect from a friendship, I might not see you for a week or two. We might not speak, but the day when I need you, it's like there hasn't been that 2 weeks of silence. So, yeah.
That's an important point, because you made excellent sense. That's an important point, because a lot of people tend to hold a certain, oh, you didn't message me. You didn't, and friendship is not about that. Friendship is not about you checking in on me 24/7. I think if it comes from a genuine point, when a friendship is built on a genuine foundation and trust, it's understandable to, life happens. You've got work, you've got kids, you've got whatever it is that life has pulled or thrown on your path. So that's a valid point that you pointed out. What I want to know is, as a married woman, what type of relationship would you say you have? And what can others learn from your interaction with your husband?
Sure. Okay, cool. Sorry, somebody's speaking about my Wi-Fi. Am I clear to you?
You're clear now, yeah.
Okay, cool. Because if so, then I must just open the door.
No, I saw the Wi-Fi comment.
Like, what? Okay, cool. You spoke about myself and my husband. I think we are best friends before anything else, and I think because we are best friends, everything else comes naturally. The love comes naturally. So, and he's the first person that I want to tell something good or something bad to, and vice versa. And yeah, what I want people to do, when we got married and we went for the premarital counseling, the guys asked us, what is our vision for marriage? And I was like, shucks, you don't think about that, and at the end of the day, we sat down and we asked each other, what is our vision for our marriage? We definitely don't want to portray a perfect couple. We definitely don't want to become couple goals. That's not what we aspire to be like. But I think it's just two very ordinary people trying to figure this thing out, and that's what we are, two best friends that fell in love. And in fact, we fell in love, became best friends, and giving each other a sense of belonging, and purpose. So that is what I think our relationship is about, and what I would want people to draw from it, to see that, hey, these people are actually, because at the end of the day, I think we all, me as an individual, I used to think of marriage, and you watch all these cute little movies and you're like, oh, that's how it's going to be, but it's not, it's really, it's work. And yeah, let me rather stop there. But yeah, I just want that. I want people to see that. It's just two best friends chilling, trying to make this work and loving it, Yeah.
As a close friend to you guys, that is the one thing I admire, is the friendship, as that that ride or die type of thing happening. Which I obviously don't know the background, but that's a beautiful thing to see, that you guys are that close friends, and And it's something admirable, you know, that somebody can just take away and be like, even though you guys are not living your life to be a hashtag something, but it's inspirational to say like, oh, I want to have that when I grow up. So we're going to have a quick session of five questions, 5 seconds. Okay. So I'm going to ask you 5 questions and you've got 5 seconds to answer. It's not hectic questions. Okay. No. So you literally just, whatever comes to mind, you just answer that.
Okay.
Okay. Name the one thing that you do that makes you a great friend.
I check in every now and then.
What could the world use more of?
Sorry, quick, repeat.
What could the world use more of?
Kindness.
It's okay to have more than one lifetime partner.
It's okay to have more than one?
Lifetime partners.
That's tricky. Yeah, but not at the same time.
Remember?
Okay,
It's your job to help fix your partner if they are broken.
Sure. Yeah.
Your value in the world is determined by the likes you get on social media.
No.
Cool. They took a bit longer than, some of them took a bit longer than 5 seconds, but it's fine.
Yeah.
It's fine. Thanks for taking part of that 5 questions, 5 seconds. We're going to get now into some deep questions. So just bear with me. Just again, to everyone that's watching, we're talking about relationships. If you have any questions, we are not experts, but this is a conversation. And I feel like with the times that we're living in, it's good to have conversations because that's how we grow from these, offsets and things that we don't agree on. If we have conversations, we're able to bring about solution. So what I want to know is, what are your thoughts on the evolving nature of how we form and term relationships these days, referring to blesses, situationships, bantams, entanglements, etc. Do you think that all these new terms allows us to be more comfortable in expressing how we choose to love, or does it still leave us unsatisfied, emotionally vulnerable, and possibly not getting a sense of fulfillment?
Sure, you're asking higher grade questions here, eh?
So let's first start by, what are your thoughts on all these new terms for a relationship, where people have just categorized things to, I think, a point of just comfort, where it's now, the other day I just came across situationships, and that's an actual term now for particular relationship. It's when the situation is there, when the moment is there, and that is a relationship.
Sure, yeah. Media plays a big role in this, hey? And all these, like with media, music that we listen to, I think they just downplay love so much, you know. They downplay intimacy, they misrepresent the whole concept of love. And like I love old songs, like old R&B songs. And if I compare that to what we are producing, our generation is producing, it's just so much different, you know. And what our generation is doing, we're celebrating the bad things. So we make these things glamorous, you know, having a sugar daddy, these entanglements, situationships. It looks very glamorous. But I do not think ultimately it can fill a void, you know, because everybody eventually wants to have somebody to go home to, or to go home with, or to find some sense of stability. So these things that we just mentioned is all temporarily, whatever that word is. Yeah, you know?
Yeah.
And it gives that sense of fulfillment for that moment. But I doubt it's the ultimate thing where it gives you that fulfillment. So I just feel that media is to blame for that. what we are producing. We are all part of that, and we're just downplaying and misrepresenting what love is about, you know. That's just at the end of the day, yeah.
No, I agree. I've got.
And the new thing, entanglement. So yeah, and it's these good big celebrities that's doing these things. So we obviously aspire to be like them. We don't know what's going on behind the scenes, but we grab onto that one little thing that looks glamorous and we go with it.
Yeah. No. I believe that the two of the biggest problems that causes a drift or a hiccup in our relationships with someone else, as we've already highlighted, is a lack of communication, or miscommunication, and secrets. What has been your observation why people are easily drawn to an argument instead of resolving or working out their differences?
Yeah, we all raised differently. So we all come with different things into a relationship. And when I speak relationship, we know we're speaking about friendship or we speak about love relationships. So, for example, I was not raised in a family that's very confrontational, you know. Neither is Emmanuel. But I made a conscious decision that when there's a disagreement, we confront, we sort it out, we work it out, we make up and clap, you know. My partner would probably go, I have a different approach. So it's always about trying to find that middle ground. And I think I mentioned it earlier, this is the word that you probably will hear it a lot. And it's about comprehension. Because we can communicate as much as we like, but if we don't understand what the person is trying to communicate, then it's miscommunication. I'm trying to look for a word. Then it won't help at all, you know. So, but it's about being intentional. It's very easy to not want to confront and rather wanting to debate and argue and be silent, because it hurts at times, you know, to actually sit down and say, let's talk something through. It's either very embarrassing, either fear that you need to speak about. And I think you mentioned something of secrets. Secrets is such an ugly thing, you know. One of my favorite quotes, or not favorite, one thing I liked in Titanic, at the end where that old lady would say, a woman's heart is like the ocean, full of secrets. And secrets can really destroy a relationship. Because every time it comes to the surface, you're trying to push it down, but eventually it will keep coming up, you know. And the Bible speaks about it. We hear the older people say also, what's done in the dark usually comes to the light. So secrets can be a very ugly thing. And if you can lay it all on the table, I would advise do that, you know.
Yeah. That's quite an important thing we're talking about, comprehension, because I've always been about communication. Like, that's our problem. We're not talking to each other. But if you can talk all you want, if you don't understand what the person is trying to say, if you don't take time to just listen to the other person and comprehend what the message they're trying to bring across, then it goes in vain.
Exactly.
So thanks for highlighting that. Yeah.
It is about comprehension and understanding. Yeah.
Yeah. It feels like we're living in a time where trial marriages are the order of the day, as divorce is a convenient and easily available option. What would you recommend young couples do before committing to a life of marriage? And do you think that these trial marriages are a sign that we don't value and respect the commitment of matrimony?
Sure, you're asking deep stuff now.
Yeah, no, we're getting real out here. It's cold outside. We need to get a what?
Because I don't even know what to say. You know what? Yeah, true what you're saying. Like, the divorce rate is very high amongst our generation. People are saying, oh my word, back in the day, people's marriages would last long. And people say our generation is a 2-minute kind of generation. Everything must happen quick. And if it's not happening quick enough, we give up and we move on to the next thing, you know?
Yeah.
Once again, media shows that it's so easy to do that. The songs we're listening to. So, when it comes to this, I feel that this is just my observation and the very little experience that I have. where we in today, I'm not only in competition with the lady at my husband's work or my neighbor. I'm in competition with 2 million young, beautiful ladies right here on the phone, you know? So like you know, you don't even know about this competition that you're part of. So it's so easy for couples or for people to get the next person by a touch of a button, you know? And we don't tend to want to work things out because there's already somebody in line waiting for my attention, you know? So I think that's one of the reasons why we tend to with the divorce rate being so high, could be one of the reasons. And then we also, this is not just my thing. I feel that our generation is just not settling for nonsense anymore, you know? We don't settle. So if the first thing is wrong, we're like, okay, cool, I'm out of here. Whether it's right or wrong, I do know that you must stick it out and work it out. But yeah, no, I do feel stick it out and work it out. But with abuse and everything happening, yeah, I don't know if I'm answering your question, and my mind is going all over the place. So it's hard to stop something and people crucify me for it. So I'm gonna keep quiet. Yeah.
No, you've answered my question. Just to add on it, in a follow-up question, is like, what do you think it is in order to avoid a trial step? Because we are the generation of fast money, fast, everything must just happen at a fast pace. What can we do? Because in order not to get married, in order not to get married just to say divorce again, what can we do before marriage, before saying I do, in order to identify the things that makes us happy or the things that we don't want to sit up with? Or do you think that people actually do see the things that they don't want to be living with for life, but love just got them so caught up in that moment that they just want to get married and then reveal the issues that presented itself before marriage out during marriage?
Yeah, it's really, you can never be 100% sure. I don't think so. Maybe some people were 100% sure, you know, but be sure and be willing to work and be willing to decide and to choose that person every single day of your life. So before you step into a marriage to say, I do, it is about, you must know, okay, I'm really in love with this person, the butterflies and all of that, but that's all going to go settle once you guys are in this marriage, and then because love is a choice, you know, you choose to love that person every single day. And I don't know if this is it's not a secret, like they say, what's your one secret to this? But I do feel that premarital counseling is important. I actually learned a lot, you know, when we went for premarital counseling. It opened my eyes. That actually scared me. I was like, wow, I never thought about that. I never knew that. I never, you know. So premarital counseling is pretty important. Or just having conversation with other married couples before you go into that. And like I said, you must be willing to choose that person every single day of your life. Yeah.
It is my opinion that if you desire a long and lasting marriage, that you get advice from couples that have been together for several years, instead of peers that have been married for less than 5 years. Why do you think marriages aren't lasting as long as our grandparents' generation?
Sure.
Like I done a relationship talk at a youth conference, and I remember speaking to couples that were together for 37 years, others 20-something years, and that's long. But when I look at my friends or peers, I hear of people that were together 3 years and divorced, 6 years and divorced. So wouldn't it be best as a young person that just got married to rather associate and speak to people that have been married for 37 years, 28 years, to get advice, instead of getting advice from friends that are newly married or just under 10 years in marriage?
Can you hear me? I think I went off for a while.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. What I came to learn, when you listen to somebody give you advice of marriage, it's usually a reflection of their marriage. I choose very wisely who I have speak into my marriage, or into my life. Because I've spoken to people that was married for 30 years that tells me, "Moet nooit trou nie," Then I've listened to people that's married for 5 years that told me it's the most beautiful thing ever. And I've spoken to various married couples, and it wasn't the number of years that they were married that was necessarily from a takeaway. It was the love between the two of them, and how the marriage was. Because before I got married, I had family members telling me, "Ooh, you will trou nie. Manne, all men are this. Manne, you will those kind of things." So it's not necessarily, yes, I do admire people that has been married for years, and it's my desire, to be married until the Lord takes either of us, And you also asked something of why is our marriages not lasting as long as our grandparents' generation. I don't know, maybe it's one of those things again. There's always somebody waiting in line. So instead of us sitting down and working things out, we are already onto there's so many other voices already speaking into it. So instead of me turning around and speaking to my husband, I'd rather go into Instagram, and then somebody messages me back, and that's how it goes. And then one thing leads to another, and the rest is history. So I would say there's no one formula, there's no one thing. I just know that when I listen to people speak and they speak into our marriage, it's a reflection of their marriage. And I try to take the good, because a lot of people have things to say, Like I'm surrounded with a whole lot of awesome couples. We have a lot of friends, and I draw from their marriages regular basis, And I learn so much from them, and they probably married 3, 4, 5 years. So yeah, it's not necessarily about how long they've been married.
Yeah, and that's a good point you brought across. That I was actually thinking is that how we actually search for that formula. We read so many books, we want to watch so many movies, and then we try to have our relationship follow that same pattern or that same romance that's in a novel or whatever the case may be. When it's literally about you building and going where you and your partner want to go,
Yeah.
So I know you mentioned about the counseling and before getting married. I just want to know, should counseling or couples therapy be seen as a means of growth in the relationship instead of being deemed as something is wrong and that the relationship is flawed?
Yes, definitely. I think in general, counseling should be normalized. It should be a normal thing.
Yeah.
Be like going to a doctor when you have a flu,
Yeah.
So people have been stigmatized. Oh, ze gaan vir counseling, ze gaan die kopdokter toe. No, it should be normalized. If I'm mentally not feeling well or emotionally not feeling well, there's somebody that's a professional that can assist me with that, So yeah, especially couple counseling, it helps a lot. It does help.
Yeah, I've noticed that people put a bad stigma to it, and they see counseling as something is wrong, and But as you said, it should be normalized. It should be something that helps people through whatever situation, and sometimes it's not even bad situations. It's the good as well that can get some advice or counseling therapy sessions or whatever it is. I feel that when a couple verbally have an argument, that maybe it's not our place to interfere, But when any form of physical abuse takes place, we should do our utmost to assist and intervene to ensure that right help is received, even if the abuse does not want any help. What do you think our responsibility is as bystanders to individuals that are in abusive relationships?
Sure. That's now a deep one, eh? Yeah.
And deep in the bottom.
That is a deep one. I do feel I am my sister's keeper. I am my brother's keeper, you know. But it's just such a sensitive topic when it comes to physical abuse, because you'll always find people who tell you it's none of your business, stay in your lane. But how do you just stay in your lane when you see a friend or family member being abused physically, or you know about it? I would say, yes, we need to intervene, you know. But how do we do that? I don't know. I know I've got experience in this. Years back, I had a very close person that was in a physical abusive relationship, and you know about it. I even seen it, but you don't know what to do about it, you know. You phone the police, you speak to this person. Ultimately, that's just a different kind of, how can I say, it's a different kind of intervention needed, you know. But to answer your question, I do feel that we need to do something. You cannot sit still, and you cannot step back and say, I want nothing to do with that. I want to stay in my lane. Because it means that we are not each other's keepers, and we definitely need to be. And especially what's happening in our country lately with women being just abused and murdered and raped. And it's funny. I read the other day, I said, we all know somebody that has been abused, that has been raped, but we do not know. Nobody knows a rapist and nobody knows an abuser, you know. It's because we don't call them out.
Yes.
And, you know, so in short, yes, we should step in. I don't know how, but we should. That's all I'll say. Yeah, that's all.
I think that alone is a topic on its own.
Yeah.
Because of how broad it is.
Yeah.
I've always had this type of conversations with random people, but we never get deep into it about how do we approach that situation. Because one thing to see something happen and be like, it's not my place, because tomorrow they're going to hold hands and they're going to be fine. At the same time, abuse is abuse. And if you want to be a game changer, intervention should take place. But as I said, it's a topic, it's a whole nother topic. And I really do appreciate your time. And I love the conversation. I love the comments you've made. And I just want to thank you again for scheduling another night with me, even though we were supposed to do it yesterday. And let you know that I'm full on about finances and making sure that we all do our part for saving, or whatever it is that we make our money work for us, not us for our money. So this will be my question to every person that I'll be interviewing, and I just want to know, what is your approach to money, and what is your advice on what to do with income received?
Spend your money, eat your money, your money.
your money.
I'm kidding. You know what now? I'm 31 years old, and I've made very bad financial decisions when I was like 18, 19, 20, when I started working. So I think I can answer this thing with confidence. How do you approach it? One of the disciplines is to learn to save. And you have taught me that, and I'm really taking that advice. That's a very good discipline, you know. Teach your children from a young age to learn to save. Because I read this thing that says, first save when you get your income, put the money away that you're going to save, and then spend. Now we spend and what's left, we'll save. And chances are this left.
It does.
So the first thing I'd say, learn to be disciplined to save. Try as far as possible to avoid accounts, those kind of things, you know. Don't have your name at every shop. these are all stupid mistakes I made when I started working and I get now a pay slip. Edgar's bell me, you can have an account, you know, and also get financial advice from a very young age. Like in a previous thing we mentioned about counseling, to normalize it, I think let's normalize financial advice as well. As soon as you start.
Thank you. I agree.
Advice, yeah. And I like what you're doing. You can play that part now in people's life. Financial advice, you know. I felt so stupid. I don't know how others feel, but when we purchased this house last year, I felt stupid. I knew nothing. Fund rate, interest in all those kind of things. Educate yourself on these things, you know. Our parents are not doing it. The schools are not doing it. The churches are not doing it. So somebody has to do it. So educate yourself on these things to avoid making stupid financial decisions that can affect you later in life. Like with this house purchasing, I think I mentioned it to you, Richard, then there comes a red flag of something that I didn't pay when I was 19 years old. And I'm like, what the hell, you know? So discipline yourself to save. Try to buy things cash as far as possible and seek financial advice from a very, very young age.
Yeah. Thank you, Loreal. Thank you once again for your time. Thank you for this conversation. I really appreciate all the points that you've raised, especially when it came to the finance thing, because I'm all about finances. Yeah. No, but I think this was a really good conversation. And I just want to remind everybody that every Thursday evening at 7 p.m. I'll be live on Instagram at @littlerichie_ZA. My guest for next week, Thursday, is Chorus. If you don't know who Chorus is, can you drop your mic? Because this is an incredible singer. She is from South Africa, and I have her song, Color, in my link. So if you do not know who Chorus is, please find the link in my bio. And then listen to the song, and listen to the song every day till Thursday, and continue supporting our local artists. I think we should all be part of the movement like SA Red. I think that's what it's hashtag, like SA Red, because our artists, our entertainment industry really needs the support right now. And yep, that's me from the interview with Little Richie. Please listen to Chorus in the background as I sign out. Thanks, Loreal. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Bye. Thanks, everybody, for the comments. I've noted everybody's remarks, and I really do appreciate it.